and welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for popping by here. And yes, today we are starting the third program in the 3D False Matrix program series, which we're going to be going over these limited beliefs and deconstructing them so that our original self can shine through, which is perfect segue into today's video because today we're going to talk about belonging. So this topic just came to me today. I had no idea I was going to do a YouTube and I didn't know what I was going to do it on. But this has been what I received. So we're going to talk about this concept of belonging from the 3D perspective and viewpoint, and then shifting to the 5D. And remember that 3D is fear-based, 5D is love-based, and 4D is when we're moving from fear to love. And so yeah, in the 3D side of this kind of need to belong, when we're very young, someone inevitably said, you can't do this, or it would be better if you did it this way, or don't say that, don't do that. And what this does to us as children is it teaches us that, well, number one, we're doing something wrong or bad, but what it really teaches us on like kind of a subconscious level is that we need to change how we are and how we act to be liked, to be accepted, and ultimately to get love. And so it's saying that you need be like this and we'll like you, and so as a child you're wanting love, affection, attention, so you're going to do whatever the people in your life say you need to do to get these basic needs met. So it's at the time you obviously don't realize this is happening, but what it's doing is it's teaching you kind of through your childhood and as you're growing up and in school. Maybe a teacher says something, maybe your classmates, you change the way you act to get attention from someone or some group, or you suppress who you are so you'll be liked by who you consider your friends. And so this has really far-reaching implications, and even into adulthood. As adults will do things to be liked. Maybe comes to mind in the dating world. People are doing some things that they think the other will like them, so that they can receive this love, this affection, this attention. And so all of this we can think of as it's self-abandonment. So rather than being ourself, we take on these different traits or do these different things so that we'll be liked by others, so that we'll feel safe. So it's this kind of adaptation, this kind of mammalian thinking of needing to belong to the herd, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But once we get to the 5D side, you'll see that there's just another way, there's another choice, another option we have. And the unfortunate thing is when we're stuck in this cycle of self-abandonment, it can lead to some really dark places. What sometimes people do is they act a certain way to be liked in front of others, and then in private they act a different way, and that will lead to guilt, shame, anger, and then that they'll likely suppress, and then it'll come out at an inopportune time, and so this can lead to a lot of difficult situations. Of course, it's all learning situations, and when we came into this life, we signed up to learn these things in different ways. So there's nothing wrong or bad. It's just, I'm just showing you kind of the path, the cause of the effects, so to speak. So all this self-abandonment is done to belong, to fulfill this need of belonging. And if we shift our attention now to the original plan, the 5D side, we start to kind of retrace these steps. And some things in your life as you grow up, they'll just come out. For example, for one of mine, when I was young, I was born a male, and yet I felt like a female, and so this was very confusing, and I knew I couldn't tell my parents, but once I reached a certain age, I investigated this, and so now I am who I feel and think and act. So for me, it's very coherent, and it's allowed me to find alignment. And so that just kind of came out as something I needed to do, obviously in my soul blueprint, and I could make a whole series of videos on that, but that's not what it's all about. I just wanted to give a little example of how this has happened in my life, and it's happened in so many ways. And then after transitioning to be a woman, I stopped doing certain things to be liked by men or other people. Like I stopped surfing because I didn't think it wasn't feminine enough, and all these things, all these abandoning self in so many ways. It's to basically to get love and affection from others. Of course, because I hadn't tapped into it within me yet. And so when I had my awakening happened because it was the first time in this life that I actually love myself as I am. And what happens is that as you awaken, you realize that you don't need to look for love and affection and attention from the outside. That's all within you. Like you have infinite love within you, this infinite love coming out really whenever you want, at all times. And often I'll just fill my body with love, or if I'm in certain situations, I'll just fill myself with love. And of course I'm evolving too on this journey, but the main thing, a big difference, is when people are self-abandoning, they think they're gonna be loved by being something they're not. But when you come back to your original plan, you realize that when you're your true self, you have the love inside you. You don't have to look outside for it anymore. It's within you. And there's so much of it, and it's so rich, and it's so amazing. And then you start to realize these other things about what happened maybe as you're growing up. And another one that came to my mind to share today was that when I was very young, I was really connected to at least one of my spirit guides, and I so loved connecting with them, and they shared with me information. But as I grew older, I guess around 2-3 years old, my parents would call this my imaginary friend. And of course that was normal for the time, and now I've forgiven them for this, but it took a while. But there was a time around age 3 where they had some friends over, and so all these adults, and I was so excited. I had learned some information, and I ran to them and shared with them, and they said, well, my parents said to these other people, oh, that's just their imaginary friend. And then they all burst out laughing. And I felt this deep shame that, like, I can't do that anymore. Like, because I wanted to be like the adults. And of course, I wanted to be loved and that affection. And so that was another one where I abandoned myself to be liked or to be normal. And really that was kind of like the beginning of my descent into a very low place. But it all also had a purpose, and although it took me a while to realize that and to forgive and to move on, now I realize how perfect all that played out. And so I can look back with gratitude. And also I have another example to show you. And I feel like I have quite a few examples, because this was a pattern that was repeating itself until I woke up to it. And so you start waking up to all these things in your life where you change the way you are to try to fit in, or to try to be liked or be loved or have this affection, ultimately to belong. But then you realize that all you needed to do to belong is to be yourself. That when you're yourself, you are the perfect puzzle piece that fits into the grand tapestry of Earth, of the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. Just when you're yourself, you just have to be yourself, and you will be your core vibration, and you'll attract everything that you need and desire. So if you, and you're, again, this fountain of love yourself, but say if you desire affection from another human being, you'll attract that. Or if you desire attention, who knows, from sweet little animals, I do, you'll attract that as well. So once your core vibration, you'll just naturally attract all that is a perfect match for you. So now, instead of trying to be something you're not, to get something outside of you, by just being who you are, you attract everything to you. And this is the original 5D blueprint for our lives, is that simply by being ourselves, who we are, is that we belong, and we will attract everything that we need and desire and more. So it's a beautiful thing. But I feel like we are complete for now, that I'll wrap it up here. But thank you again so much for popping by, for checking this out. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you in the next one. All right, take care. Love you. Bye-bye.